That's 4 hours there
Oh.
and 4 hours back. That's like a school trip.
Oh, get off.
See you later.
Oi, and you be careful, all right?
Taking a big space truck with a bunch of strangers across a diamond planet called Midnight?
What could possibly go wrong?
Oh boy.
I can complimentary tea. Just the headphones, please. There you go.
Person of interest.
Enjoy your trip.
Oh, I can't wait. How old's he?
I'm sorry.
It's French.
Complimentary juice pack and complimentary
Oh.
treats. I must
She's a bit
some
spiky.
product-
Oh, she's noticing. She noticed that.
Well, that's a mercy.
And variations thereupon. What do we do?
We've got 4 hours of this. 4 hours of just
Talk.
sitting here.
Get to know each other.
What? We'll have to talk to each other instead.
Chicken or beef?
I think it's both.
Ooh, those fingertips. Red. She has red nail polish.
Live a little.
Get down, get down, get down. Whoa.
That is beautiful.
No, sorry, it's nothing.
What did you see?
Just there, that ridge. Like a shadow. Just for a second.
What sort of shadow?
Oh, I didn't see it.
Rescue's on its way. If you could close the door.
Ooh.
Thank you.
Most interesting. They're like sitting ducks in there.
I can guarantee you everything's fine.
Well then. Speak of the devil.
We're cooling down. It's just settling.
Oh my god, that was a knock.
Knock, knock.
Ooh.
Who's there?
The light out there is X-tonic. That means it would destroy any living thing in a
It's not a living
split
thing though.
second.
Some sort
It is impossible for someone to be outside.
for someone, but not for this shadow thing.
Insist you get back to your seats.
No, don't just stand there telling us the rules. You're the hostess. You're supposed to do something.
Oh, whoa, whoa, come on now. She's just an employee. Look at her, she's just as scared, right?
How are we? Everyone all right?
Must be.
That's impossible.
What's happened to the seats?
Who did that?
They've been ripped up.
Oh god, she like possessed?
It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. It's over.
The intercom must be down.
You're dead.
What's her name?
Sylvester, Mrs. Sky.
Whoa.
Sylvester.
Great shot.
But what if it's not outside anymore?
Yeah.
What if it's inside?
Inside where?
She might be possessed. Oh. Yeah, she's possessed. Oh god, that's so creepy.
Sky,
Are you all right?
are you alright?
Oh, it's just
Are you
mimicking.
hurt?
Why is she doing that?
Why is she doing that?
She's gone mad.
That is so creepy.
Stop.
What is that, learning?
What is that? Learning?
Right.
Copying?
Absorbing.
Absorbing? Tell her to stop.
She's driving me mad.
She's driving me mad.
Yeah,
Just
it's
make her stop.
Make her stop. She's gotta be a
so unsettling.
Be a trick.
Shut her up.
Did you That's play that with
impossible.
her?
Doctor, now step back. I think you should leave her.
Whoa.
Alone.
Oh.
I think you should all be very, very quiet.
Have you got that? How's she doing it?
Mrs. Kane, please be
How
quiet.
can she do that? She's got my voice. She's got my word.
The Medusa Cascade.
Whoa.
Bang! Rose Tyler, Martha Jones, Donna Noble, TARDIS.
First she repeats, then she catches up. What's the next stage?
Next stage of what?
She'll start saying things before you can even...
That's not Mrs. Silvestri anymore.
Doctor, make her stop.
Okay, stop.
Come with me. Come to the back.
She's not exactly strong.
All she's got is our voices.
I can't look at her. It's those eyes.
Yeah. Oh god.
Nothing can live on the surface of
Okay,
midnight.
Professor, you have to let that go.
We should throw her out.
thrown out.
Not on his watch. Oh. This could be a problem.
For all we know, that's a brand new life form over there. And if it's come inside to discover us, then what's it found? This little bunch of humans. What do you amount to? Murder? Because
Right.
this is where you decide. You decide who you are. Really? Or are you better than that?
I don't know, Doctor. Humans have... They can sink quite low. Desperate times, desperate measures.
If it takes that thing,
Back to the leisure palace. If that thing reaches civilization.
what if it spreads?
By speaking these things, you're giving it ideas, or you're registering new ideas.
Could you actually take hold of someone and throw them out of that door?
Calling me a coward?
Who put you in charge anyway?
I'm sorry, but
Oh, come on.
The rest of you, tickets in advance. He just turned up out of the blue. Where from?
Oh.
I'm just traveling. I'm a traveler, that's all.
Like an immigrant. Who are you talking to?
You do seem to have a certain glee.
All right, I'm interested. Yes, I can't help it, because whatever's inside her is brand new, and that's fascinating. What you wanted
It is?
to happen? No,
How did you know what to do?
because I'm clever.
I see. Well, that makes things clear.
And what are we then? Idiots?
That's not what I meant.
You're behaving like idiots.
John Smith.
You're
John
real.
Smith.
He's lying. Look at his face.
Guys,
They saw right through
Why don't you
it.
tell us?
it's as simple.
You've been lying to us right from the start.
Just look.
You keep out of this, Jethro.
Look at her.
She stopped.
She stopped.
So creepy.
When did she? No, she hasn't. She's still doing it.
Look, I'm talking and she's not.
Oh, it's just a doctor now.
Look. Look at that.
Why are you doing this?
She won't leave him alone.
I can sense clearly something about the doctor.
She's with him.
They're together.
How do you explain it, Doctor?
What do you need? You need my voice in particular.
Right.
Best voice in the room. So, what do you think?
Do we
Do
have
we
a
have
deal?
a deal?
Whoa. There it is. Before he could...
Hold on.
She spoke first.
He's about to lose his voice to her, isn't he?
Oh, look at that. I'm ahead of
Look
you.
at that. I'm ahead of you.
Doctor, what's happening?
Whoa, he is...
I think
Whoa.
it's moved.
I think it's
I think
moved.
it's letting me go.
I think it's letting me go.
Letting you go from what?
He's
Great
right.
acting by her,
He's
though.
the one doing it. It's him.
Separating.
Mrs. Silvestri.
That's not what happened.
Thank you for your opinion, Dee, but clearly Mrs. Silvestri has been released.
Jesus.
No.
Come on, listen to her.
It repeats, then it synchronizes, then it goes on to the next stage, and that's exactly what the doctor
Right.
said would happen.
What? And you're on his side?
No! I saw it pass into him. I saw it with my own eyes.
So did I.
You didn't. Went from her to him. You saw it, didn't you?
No.
Making it up.
Yeah, you're making that shit up. I didn't see anything like that.
You're making a fool of yourself, pretending you're an expert in
Hey.
mechanics and hydraulics.
You watch me. I'm gonna throw him out.
Yes.
See,
yes. Throw him out.
Throw him out.
Get rid of him.
Get rid of him.
Throw him out.
Come on.
Just do it.
That lady's really annoying me.
Professor.
But again, it's playing on their fears, right?
Allons-y. I want him.
Allons-y.
That's his voice. The starlight way. She's taken his voice.
Whoa.
3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh my goodness.
It's gone. It's gone.
Tension they built. Yeah, how do you feel now?
I said it was her.
Yeah, he's kind of rattled by this. I don't think anyone knows the name. You don't get to see the doctor like that.
What do you think it was?
No idea.
Do you think it's still out there? I can't imagine you without a voice.
Molto bene.
Molto bene.
No, don't do that.
Yeah. He's a bit of an experience with the repeating business. Whoa. Wow. Whoa. Look at that. The hits keep coming. I mean, that's a phenomenal episode. I mean, that's one of the best of the series. Wow. That is just 3 incredible episodes back to back at this point. But yeah, that episode was something else. That was, whoa. Yeah, I'm quite impressed. That has to be one of my favorites of the series. And honestly speaking, I think this might have been scarier than Blink. They're doing 2 different things, but there are horror elements in both of them, right? And I think this was much scarier, right? This was actually legitimately terrifying at points, right? And I felt the execution of this episode, right? Brilliant. I thought it was brilliant execution. I love the setting, right? You know all about my love for cozy compartments, but it didn't remain cozy once things kind of started going south. But I love the setting, the claustrophobic nature of that setting, and I loved how the entire episode is just kind of staged there, right inside that cabin. And much like the silence in the library, this one also had that feeling, or had that transportive feeling, right, of actually being there, being inside that cabin with these people, right, as they go through this ordeal. I mentioned the execution earlier, and the editing was crucial in this, and it was actually quite effective. It was really effective, and it was wonderfully paced, that's for sure. I mean, it certainly wasn't a spectacle type episode, and Doctor Who certainly has those types of episodes. You go back to the Sontaran 2-parter recently, but this was more so about the dialogue, about the story, the narrative itself, right? It had a strong script, that's for sure. And the acting was phenomenal, of course. Sometimes the simple things are the most impressive, right? This kept it simple for the most part, right? You've got a handful of characters in a confined space, and it essentially remains in that space for most of the episode, right? Just the beginning and the end, kind of to bookend the episodes, has you outside of that setting. But yeah, handful of characters, you've got the Doctor, but no companion, and that comes into play because it certainly introduces a different type of dynamic, right? Not having a companion present really certainly had its challenges in this specific case. And you can see how Donna being there would have been a great benefit to the Doctor in this specific case. Let's not forget that the Doctor has been traveling by himself for a long time as well, right? But in this case, a companion certainly could have been that bridge, right? Almost an interpreter in that sense, right? To kind of back him, to stand up for him, and explain to these people that no, this is not who you think it is. This is not the type of, this is not a danger to you people. Though, that being said, ultimately the Doctor ended up being wrong in this case, right? Essentially it was a defeat, he was down and out. So, it's interesting to see that they kind of gave Donna a bit of a break, or, she just kind of sat this one out. Sometimes you get one of those episodes, like Blink, that both the Doctor and Donna are kind of missing from, right? But this episode, it was just a Doctor by himself. Now, he's been by himself before, but this is a bit of a special case because he has an active companion at the moment. But yeah, at the end, they do end up reuniting. The Doctor does survive, just barely, right? Because of the decision the hostess makes. And of course, this entity, the Midnight Entity, kind of slipped up, right? It made that mistake of saying something the Doctor said earlier, allons-y, right? And she recognized it, right? She recognized that as the Doctor's speech, and she made the choice to kind of sacrifice herself. And as the Doctor gets back to Donna, again, that look on his face, and, he had that similar look inside the cabin after the entity's gone, right? Yeah, that's rare. That's rare to see the Doctor like that. And it's a jarring moment to see the Doctor like that. I think most recently I saw him like that. I believe season 3 or series 3. It was called 42, right? The spaceship or space station that was near that sun, and that was, I think, the last time he was taken over by some sort of outside entity, right? And that that is not something he's used to. That is something that terrifies the Doctor. And you see how rattled he was because of that. And now you see something similar happen here because he was just absolutely helpless, right? He was not in control. He could not solve the situation, right? And all of those skills that the Doctor possesses, the leadership skills, the problem-solving skills, right? His intellect, his words, essentially, all of that played against him in this episode, right? Because this entity also kind of used that against him, the Doctor, right? He did everything as he usually does, but it wasn't enough, right? It wasn't enough because he was faced with something quite scary. Humans that are afraid, right? Mob mentality, paranoia, all of that, that was essentially the biggest threat to him in this episode, right? And again, like I said, he was almost taken out. So how fascinating, right? That this near-death experience for the Doctor, and being this close to dying, as it was out of his hands at this moment, at this point. He was this close to dying. It was because of this group of people, right? And the things they're driven to in this state. And I love that ending. I really appreciate that ending. Not everything needs to be solved. Sometimes things are just left, right? Things are just left a mystery. And you see that even the Doctor, by the end of it, even he didn't really care much to find out more about this entity or learn about the entity or resolve this, issue of this mystery of the entity, right? He was kind of just done there, right? You see that the sense of exploration and adventure and learning about the unknown, that was kind of missing by the end of it, right? The spirit of exploration was missing by the end of the episode, and he had that at the beginning of the episode, and he usually has that, right? That's part of his personality, that's part of his character, to, go learn about the unknown. But, this broke him. You see how broken he was by the end of it, or how rattled he was by this experience, right? And the fact that it remained a mystery by the end of the episode, that makes this even better. That makes this even more exciting, right? That I might never hear about this entity ever again, throughout the show, right? So the mystery aspect of this is so nicely executed. I love that ending. And you see that the Doctor had no desire to chase that entity, right? To hunt it down or learn about it. No. He was ready to just leave that planet. And that in itself, that sight, seeing the Doctor in this state, even that's disturbing, isn't it? And I mentioned acting earlier. Of course, Tennant, man. Oh my goodness, does he deliver? He always delivers, but this, to see him in that helpless state as he's repeating, and he's got his foot locked on as they're trying to toss him out, and he's this close to dying, essentially. You see the fear in his face, and again, he's just so helpless, and you buy that. You see that in his face. Even as he's repeating those things, you see it in the eyes. That's another reason this entity is so terrifying, and I'd say, that's why I kept saying this is, to me, it felt even scarier than Blink. I mean, Blink wasn't, I know Blink is meant to be scary, right? But to me, it wasn't really that scary. Incredible episode for sure. But I think this episode, this was legitimately scary, right? It was riveting, right? I was just glued to my seat. The music, oh my goodness, the music was used to great effect. Exceptional. And, speaking of acting, oh my goodness, how about the lady who played Skye? The actress who played Skye, incredible. She is legitimately terrifying in this role. I mean, and there's no prosthetics, there's no special effects, right? This is her, the change from just initially being this kind of standoffish, not really talkative, lone wolf, essentially, to this, individual who's been taken over by this entity. My goodness, that change, that turn is just, it's so jarring, right? I mean, she sold the hell out of that. I'm telling you, that was legitimately unsettling to even look at her on screen because of how uneasy it made me feel, right? There was something, I don't know, there was something so off, and in that sense, that's an incredible aspect of this, the acting, the eyes, oh my God, those piercing eyes, the fangs lurking deep within those eyes, and some of those shots, nightmare fuel. There's a few shots of her just by herself in the corner, right? Looking back at them, looking at the others. But yeah, those shots. Even now, thinking back to them, I kind of have chills. And then, of course, the setting, the confined, claustrophobic setting of that cabin really just plays on that entity being in there with you, right? That really plays into the whole terrifying aspect of this, the really scary aspect of this. And, even before the entity kind of takes over Sky, or Sky's body, the initial knocks, chilling, it really set the mood. It really had that feeling of a really great horror flick, didn't it? Yeah, I really have nothing but great things to say about this episode. So effective, and I believe it was Davies who did this. And Davies, I've noticed that he is one for spectacles, but a totally different approach to this episode, right? Again, simple. It was simple, but so effective. And that one thing the doctor said, all she's got is her voice, right? Yeah, that was more than enough. And it nearly got him killed. This entity essentially almost did that others have failed at for, decades, centuries, essentially. It was able to use their words against them and against him specifically as well, the doctor. So effective. I have to say this entity, let's call it the Midnight Entity, right? Or the Midnight Being. I think this is one of the best monsters, if you can even call it that, of the show, since I've started the show, easily. And you would think that the whole concept of just repeating everything these people are saying, that would become kind of old or annoying really quick. But no. It was the opposite. And again, I give credit to the actress playing Sky for this. And again, the tension they created in this episode, and again, the setting and the characters, that all plays into it. But even that, the repetition, even that was so scary and so unsettling, right? Those facial expressions as well. Now let's shift to the group, the rest of the people that are in that cabin with the doctor. Now, essentially in the beginning of the episode, there's a setup moment, right? They establish them all as the regular people, perfectly nice, normal, wholesome, jolly, right? There's that great setup moment as the doctor made it so they had to mingle, right, and talk with each other and get to know each other. And again, you get a bit of a segment with each one of them. And again, during that segment, or during those different segments, you see that, yeah, they are just normal people, right? You've got the professor and the sidekick. Again, super jolly professor at the beginning, that's for sure, normal. Seems to have a great relationship with this assistant, this sidekick. Then there's a family, right? And they have a son who's clearly a teenager going through a rebellious phase, right? The mom seemed really wholesome as well. But that being said, later on, she becomes perhaps one of the most... she's the one that flips the most, essentially, right? Given the situation. I'll get into that again. But, the last one being Sky herself, standoffish, but then, understandable given her recent breakup, and she's not really trying to mingle at the moment. That's understandable, right? Essentially, all of them are established as normal, nice, regular people. But then all of those flaws come rushing to the forefront, right? Driven by this fear. Essentially, the horror of things too great to be comprehensible by the human mind fostered this spontaneous sense of solidarity, right? And that turned ugly really quick because that kind of manifested in this mob mentality. And, that self-serving primal urge or primal nature, kind of comes out, right? It kicks in, that's for sure. And that's all because of fear, right? Under distress, people are able to do some really, really low things, some really despicable things. They're able to go that low, essentially. For some, their true colors come out. But for others, for many, fear And certainly fear of the unknown can really drive them to the type of behavior that they do not associate with themselves, right? You know, and in that sense, you can try to put yourself in their shoes in that situation, right? Imagine us being in that situation, or, you know, you being in that situation, and think about how you could potentially react to that situation, right? Given the information they have, and given the really unsettling and, again, scary nature of it, it's actually a really realistic take on how humans would probably react in that situation, right? I mean, essentially, you know, the fear of the unknown really had these people acting irrationally, right? These regular, nice people, for the most part, acting irrationally. And, you know, the oldest and strongest emotion of mankind is fear. And the oldest and strongest type of fear is the fear of the unknown. H.P. Lovecraft, right? That really applies here, for sure. And, you know, in that sense, them turning on the Doctor, even though for us, you know, as the audience who loves the Doctor, it's tough to see them turn against the Doctor, and, you know, to see the Doctor cornered like that, and you don't see that. You don't see the Doctor getting cornered and helpless and kind of like backpedaling, right? That was so. It was strange. It was a strange sight. You know, I'm just a traveler. He's actually on the defensive. He's really up against it, right? But in that sense, if you try to put yourselves in their shoes, the Doctor is just as unknown as this entity, right? Now they have this other being that is quite a bit of a mystery to them. And in that state of paranoia, people tend to rationalize things, right? So yeah, you know, from their angle, it's understandable that they don't trust the Doctor. Again, you have to take yourself out of the situation, right? Of knowing the Doctor, you know, to us, the Doctor is just this incredible being, right? You know, I love the Doctor, but looking at it from an outsider's perspective, those people, yeah, you can understand why they ended up turning on the Doctor in that case. So certainly that's the point of the episode, but, you know, I'm not going to just give him a complete pass either, right? Because, you know, some of this is innate behavior that kind of, again, came to the forefront because of the situation they're put in, right? Up against it, you know, fear of the unknown, and some of these innate qualities came out, right? Some of this behavior came out, you know. They're not under the influence of this being. That's not the case at all, right? Though this being was able to incite quite a panic, right? And was able to kind of induce this paranoia within that cabin. So yeah, you know, that's understandable, and, you know, I get that point of the episode for sure. You know, how would anyone react in that kind of situation? But, you know, I'm also not going to give them a complete pass either, because you can see some of this behavior is part of them, right? And it came out for sure. And, you know, one of the most despicable ones in that scenario was that mother from that couple, right? The teenager's mother. She was really annoying, wasn't she? Yes, they're under a lot of pressure, right? A lot of pressure. And, you know, at this moment in time, it's that fight or flight kicking in, right? And they kind of ended up going towards a mob mentality, you know, the self-serving, primal nature. But, you know, that... I feel like some of the things that came out is clearly part of their character as well. And you see later on that a lot of them regret their actions, right? And they're probably even a bit baffled at their behavior at that moment, right? Given how they acted out in those moments. And you see the professor really looked quite distressed, right? You could see he was quite embarrassed with himself, quite disappointed, quite disgusted perhaps. So, you know, to keep it interesting, I'm also going to present an opposing notion here as well. You know, yes, I understand the you know, the point of this episode, but I'm going to present that notion that true character can only be expressed through a choice and dilemma, right? How a person chooses to act under pressure is who he or she is, right? So the greater the pressure, the truer and deeper the choice to that character, right? So, you know, let's not give them a complete pass here. It's understandable that yes, you know, people put in this kind of situation. This is a realistic take on how people would react, right? But also, let's not forget that, some of those really innate flaws came out as well because of this situation, right? So yeah, earlier I said that, fear and paranoia had these people, these regular people, nice people, as established earlier in the episode. It had them behaving irrationally, but also, you could also say that their true nature also came to the forefront, right? Because of this fight or flight situation, right? So yeah, a bit of both, I'd say. Essentially, that's human nature, right? No one's perfect. Those flaws exist within everyone, right? Those fears and, being pushed, or, that fear of the unknown and being pushed against it. Yeah, it's understandable. I think it's understandable, and it's realistic. It's a realistic depiction of how people could react in that situation. And, this concept and this specific situation also reminds me of a line of dialogue, incredible line of dialogue from The Dark Knight, Heath Ledger's Joker, right? Their morals, their code, it's a bad joke, dropped at the first sign of trouble. They're only as good as the world allows them to be, right? Once the chips are down, these civilized people, they'll eat each other. And yeah, going back to the Doctor, yeah, I feel like this might actually have a bit of an impact on him, right? This might change him a bit. He might have lost a bit of love that he has for humans, his favorites, right? He certainly might have lost some of that faith in humanity or in humans. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how the next episode picks up. If any of this or any of the effects of this linger throughout the rest of series 4. Well, yeah, once again, to see the Doctor like that, to see him in that state, right? Rattled. It's rare, and it is disturbing to see him like that. It's really unsettling to see him like that. So yeah, fear and paranoia can make even the nicest and rational people act out in some really irrational manners, right? And really sink quite low, right? And be able to do some despicable things, right? As that self-serving primal urge kicks in, right? Instinct kicks in, fight or flight. Phenomenal episode, really is one of the best of the not just the series, that's a given, but of the show as a whole. I'd say that's got to be in my top 10. It's got to be in my top 10. I mean, this last two-parter, the River Song two-parter, I'm pretty sure both of those are in my top 10. They have to be. They are in my top 10. Now, right after, there's yet another episode that's gone right into my top 10. Yeah, people told me that series 4 is quite good. So it's living up to all that. It's living up to all that expectation and the hype. Phenomenal episode. It really was so good, man. I'm so impressed by that episode. So yeah, if you enjoyed it, consider dropping a like. Consider dropping some comments. Give me your thoughts on this episode. If you really do enjoy the Doctor Who content and you're not subscribed at the moment, please consider subscribing to the channel and help the channel grow and help more Doctor Who fans find these. I mean, the Doctor Who fan base is a massive one, isn't it? And I've heard, some reaction content getting a lot of exposure, right? I've heard that, reaction content that's like 11 to 12 minutes long and 10 minutes of that being just a reaction portion, I've heard those get a lot of traction. So, I have a lot of confidence in my content, and I'm confident that I always bring something quite unique, a unique aspect, through the analysis and the post-episode discussions. So, I hope more Doctor Who fans on YouTube can find these, right? It's essentially the least watched on my channel, but I feel like it could do much better, for sure it could. But at the end of the day, that's not a determining factor or anything. I'm here for the long run. I'm all in. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm here till I'm caught up, right? I'm essentially here till I've seen it all. This show, it's been on my list for a long time, since my high school days. So yeah, regardless of it getting more traction or not, I'm still doing it. I enjoy the hell out of it. And, it's really nice to see the regulars show up in the comment section. So yeah, if you did enjoy it, consider dropping some comments. Share this if you can. If you're interested in full length for this, or perhaps even early access to the next episode, consider checking out the Patreon page. It's just an option for anyone who's interested in content beyond the scheduled content. And if you are, the link is in the description or the pinned comment. It's right at the top of the comment section. Right then, that's about it. Incredible episode. The hits keep coming in Series 4. I'm so excited for these last 3 episodes. Wow, that just flew by. Yeah, I just did episode 10. Yeah, you know, it's been a solid 6 months of Doctor Who. You know, there was that, 7 to 8 day break in the middle, but other than that, yeah, 6 months of Doctor Who, and I plan on having another 6 months and beyond of Doctor Who. Just 3 episodes left for Series 4. That's it is giving me some, it is making me anxious. It is making me anxious that there's only 3 episodes left, and once you get close to the end of the series, yeah, a lot of definitive things start to happen. So, I'm dreading it, but it's bittersweet in that sense. I am getting through these much quicker, but I'm also getting to those moments much quicker as well, right? Right then, that's about it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for your time and for joining me. So until next time, take it easy.